Today I'm going to read to you one of my favorite stories by Dr. Seuss called The Lorax. And in this story, it talks about a little being called the Lorax and also the Onceler. What is funny is that you never ever see the Onceler's actual face. You only see either his green hand or his green arm and his two yellow eyes, but never his face. I wonder how he looks like. Let's begin. At the far end of town, where the grass grows and the wind smells really bad, and no birds ever sing except for the crows, there is the street of the lifted Lorax. Ooh, doesn't seem like a place I want to be at. And deep in the grass, some people say that if you look deep enough, you can still see the place where the Lorax used to stand before he went away. Who was the Lorax and why was it there? And who took the Lorax away? Well, the old Onceler who still lives here. Ask him because he knows what happened to the Lorax. But you won't ever see the Onceler. Don't knock on his door because he will not let you go in. But sometimes he takes a peek out his window, and if you pay him, he will tell you about what happened to the Lorax. And so he will lower a tin pail on a string, and you're going to have to give him some money. Then he's going to pull up the pail and carefully count the money to see if you've paid enough. And then he will say, "Now you've given me enough money, and I'm going to tell you the secrets of what happened to the Lorax." And so he put down his whispermaphone and he said, "I'm going to tell you how the Lorax went away. It all started a long, long time ago, way back when." So now he's thinking about what happened long, long time before. It happened a long time ago, way back in the days when the grass was still green and the pond was still wet and the clouds were still clean, and the song of the Swami Swans rang out everywhere. One beautiful morning, I came to this beautiful place, and something that I noticed were all these beautiful truffula trees. Beautiful truffula trees of many different colors. Red ones, yellow ones, purple ones, green ones, orange ones. Mile after mile, there were truffula trees. So what's happening right now is that here's the Onceler, and he's telling you the story of what happened to this place. So now it looks like this, all gray and no trees and no animals. But before, this is how it looked like. All right. And a long time ago, under these truffula trees, I saw the brown barbaloots playing in their barbaloot suits, meaning their brown fur, as they played under the trees and ate all those delicious fruits from the truffula trees. So here they are taking the fruits from the truffula trees and feeding each other. And also in the pond came the sound of the humming fish, humming and singing songs as they splashed around happily. But those trees, those wonderful truffula trees, I've been looking for these trees for so long because when you touch the leaves, They are so soft and they smell so nice. I was so excited that I knew just what I was going to do with these truffula trees. And so I went out of my wagon and unloaded my cart and put everything out on the grass. And I built a house, a small little shop. So it's actually not a house, it's a little shop, okay? I chopped down one truffula tree with my axe. And then I started to knit the leaves of the truffula tree. And I made it into a thneed. So this thing that he made, that he knitted, is called a thneed. The moment I finished knitting my thneed, I heard a zoop. I looked, and I saw something pop out of the tree stump that I had just chopped down. It was kind of like a man, but he was short, he was a bit old, he was brown, and he spoke with a voice that was very bossy. "Mister," he said, "I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. I speak for the trees because they cannot speak for themselves. And I am asking you, sir, what is that thing that you made out of my truffula leaves?" So he's not very happy about what the Onceler did with the truffula leaves. "Look, Lorax," I said. "Don't worry, I just chopped one truffula tree. I didn't do any harm. I made something very useful. This thing is called a thneed. A thneed, it can be many things. You can use it as a shirt, or a sock, or a glove, or a hat. But you can also use it as a carpet, or a pillow, or for sheets, or curtains. There's so many things you can do with this thneed that I made." The Lorax said, "Sir, you are crazy with greed. Nobody is ever going to buy something silly like this," he said. But the very next minute, I proved him wrong. For all of a sudden, there was a man who came along, and he thought that the thneed that I made was great. And he bought it for €3.99. I laughed at the Lorax. "Oh, you said that people would not buy it, and yet somebody did." And so the man bought the thneed and gave money to the Onceler for this thing that he had made. "I repeat," said the Lorax, "I speak for the trees. Please don't cut the trees." "I'm busy," I told him. "Please, I'm going to call all my friends and family to come up here and help me to make more of those thneeds that I had just done." And so, in no time at all, I had made a huge thneed factory. So before it was just a small little shop like this, but now he made a huge factory. And I had all my friends and family working and knitting these thneeds. And I also had to chop down more and more trees so that I can make the thneeds. Ooh, I don't think the Lorax is very happy because he wants to save the trees. Then, my oh my, chopping one tree at a time was too slow. So I made a super axe hacker that can cut 4 truffula trees at the same time. So before they were just cutting one tree at a time, but now he has this super machine that can cut down 4 trees at a time. Chop, 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 chop. The Lorax came back to my door. and he knocked on my door and said, I am the Lorax. I speak for the trees. You're chopping down too many of the trees. My poor barbaloots, they eat the fruits from the trees. But because you are chopping down so many of the trees, there is not enough food for the bears. And so now they are so hungry. What are we going to do? The Onceler did not care. And so the Lorax said, they love living here, but I can't let them stay because they have no more food and they'll go hungry. And so the Lorax sent all the barbaloots away, and now they have to go find a new home to live because they cannot stay here as there isn't enough food on the trees to go around for everybody. You see over here, this barbaloot bear, he has no more energy left. He can't even walk because he hasn't eaten for days and he's so hungry. And so they went away. The Onceler felt sad to see them go, but he was too busy making more thneeds to sell so that he can make more money. So they continue to chop down trees, more and more trees. So here are the truffle trees that go into this huge vat, and then they were making more and more thneeds, and they are selling them everywhere in the world. So the Onceler is doing a very good job selling those thneeds. But then one day, the Lorax came back again. And he said, I am the Lorax. He was sneezing, achoo, and he was coughing, and he was sniffing. Onceler, he said, Onceler, your factory is making too much smoke in the air. My poor swami swans, they can't sing or fly in the sky anymore because there's too much pollution and smog. So what's happening is that the factory is making too much smog. So it's this really yucky smelling air that is making the air really bad. And also the exhaust from the trucks and the cars, also it all goes into the air, and then it makes a lot of air pollution. And so the swans and even the Lorax, they're having trouble breathing. And so, said the Lorax, because they cannot live in these dirty skies, I am going to send them off. Where are the swami swans going to go? I don't know. They might have to fly for a long time so that they can find a new house to live, away from all this dirty smog. On top of that, said the Lorax, let me say something else about the gloopity gloop that you're making with all the machines. When you're making the thneeds, you put all these gloopity gloop into the drain. And do you know where it goes? It goes outside of the factory and into the pond where the hummingfish live. Now the water is so dirty that the hummingfish cannot live here anymore. Now the hummingfish have to find another place to live in because the water is too dirty. The Onceler said that the Onceler got really angry. So I got really angry and I yelled at the Lorax and said, now listen here. All you say is that I'm bad, 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 and bad. Well, I'm telling you, I don't care. I am going to cut down more and more trees and make more and more thneeds so that I can make more and more money. I don't care, said the Onceler. So the Onceler doesn't care about the swami swan birds. He doesn't care about the humming fish. He doesn't care about the barbaloots. All he cares is about making money. All of a sudden, we heard a loud whack. From outside in the field, there came a sickening smack of an axe on a tree. And then we heard the tree fall. It was the very last truffle tree of them all. Oh no. So just when, he was getting mad at the Lorax and yelling at him, they heard the machine cut down the very, very last truffle tree in this whole area. No more trees. That meant that they could not make any more thneeds. So no more work. So in no time, all of the Onslers, friends and family, left the factory because there was no more work. And so they got into all their cars and they all went away. They said bye and they all went away. And now there is nothing left here except for a bad smelling sky and a big empty factory and no more trees in the area and no more animals because all the animals, the bears and the fish and everyone, they all left. The Lorax had nothing more to say. He looked at me, gave me a very, very sad look, and then he lifted himself from the bottom and he went away into the skies. I will never forget the sad look on his face. And now in this place, there's nothing but smog, which is really bad air, and a big empty factory, dirty water, no more trees. Doesn't seem like a place I would like to live in. And so Lorax left here. All he did was that on a little stump or a pile of rocks, he wrote one word: unless. Whatever that means, well, I don't know what that means. But every day since then, I've been thinking about the Lorax and where he could be. But now, said the Onceler, now that you are here, the word that the Lorax wrote seems very clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole lot more, nothing is going to get better. So, I'm going to give you something. He throws this into the little boy's hand. It is a truffula seed. It is the last truffula seed of all. You are going to be in charge of this last seed. Plant a new truffula tree. Treat it with lots of care. Give it lots of water. Give it lots of fresh air. And grow a forest. Protect it from others. Don't let other people cut them with axes. And I'm sure that if you manage to take this one seed and grow a forest of truffula trees, maybe then the Lorax and all of his friends will come back to this place. The end. So it was really sad because imagine that your home used to be so beautiful like this. And then at the end of the story, it looks like this because you have not been taking care of the water and the skies and the trees and the animals. So it's a very important message in this story. I hope you've enjoyed it.